If you sleep the way most people over 60 do, your circulation is getting blocked every single night, and you have no idea it's happening. While you think you're resting and recovering, your blood vessels are struggling, your legs are swelling, and dangerous clots could be forming in the darkness. I'm Dr. Ethan Scott, vascular surgeon with over 15 years treating circulation problems, and I've seen this pattern in thousands of patients across the country. People come to my office complaining about cold feet, leg cramps, restless nights, and when I ask them to describe exactly how they sleep, the answer reveals a devastating mistake that is silently destroying their circulation night after night. In my practice, I've documented over 4,000 cases where simple sleeping habits led to serious vascular complications, some requiring emergency intervention. What I'm going to show you in the next few minutes could be the difference between waking up energized or waking up with heavy, painful legs that refuse to work properly. This isn't about sleeping more hours, it's about sleeping the right way, in the right position, with the right habits, and I'm going to show you exactly how. Before this night ends, you need to know what you're doing wrong. Let me tell you about Margaret, a 63-year-old retired teacher from Ohio, the kind of woman who does everything right, walks her golden retriever every morning, eats her vegetables, takes her vitamins, never misses her annual checkup. Margaret loved her routine. Every night at 10 in the evening, she'd settle into her bed, pull up her heavy down comforter, and sleep flat on her back in the same position she'd used for 40 years. When I asked her why she slept that way, she said, quote, "It feels natural. I've always slept flat, and my chiropractor said it's good for my spine," end quote. Sounds logical, right? It even seems medically responsible. After all, sleeping flat is supposed to align your spine, reduce back pain, keep your neck straight. This is what we've been told for decades. But here's what Margaret didn't know. When you sleep completely flat for 7 to 9 hours straight, especially after age 60, gravity stops helping your circulation and starts working against it. Let me explain exactly what happens. During the day when you're upright, gravity pulls blood down to your legs, but your calf muscles act as pumps, squeezing the blood back up to your heart with every step you take. But at night when you're horizontal and motionless, those muscle pumps shut down. Your blood has to flow back to your heart without any help from gravity or movement. For younger people with strong, elastic blood vessels, this isn't a problem. But after 60, your veins lose elasticity, your valves get weaker, and your blood naturally becomes slightly thicker. Combine that with 8 hours of complete flatness, and you get blood pooling in your legs, especially in the deep veins behind your knees and in your calves. Margaret came to see me after 6 months of progressively worsening symptoms. Swollen ankles every morning, legs that felt like concrete when she tried to get out of bed, a strange tingling sensation that wouldn't go away. We did an ultrasound and found significant venous insufficiency, meaning the blood in her leg veins was flowing backward instead of up toward her heart. We also found early signs of a small clot forming in her left calf. When I showed her the images and explained that her sleeping position, combined with her age and her heavy blankets that restricted movement, had been contributing to this problem every single night for months, she started crying. Her daughter, who was with her, said, quote, "Mom, you've been so careful about everything else. How could something as simple as how you sleep cause this?" End quote. And that's the tragedy. Margaret thought she was doing everything right. She exercised, she ate well, she stayed active. But every night for 8 hours, her circulation was being compromised in ways she couldn't see or feel until the damage was already done. And Margaret's story is not unique. I see this pattern every single week. And that's just the first mistake, the most obvious one. There are 4 more that are even worse, and you're probably making at least 2 of them right now. The second mistake is one that feels comforting, especially during cold winter months, but it's literally sabotaging your circulation while you sleep. I'm talking about overheating your body at night with too many blankets, thick pajamas, and high bedroom temperatures. It seems practical, especially if you live in places like Minnesota, Wisconsin, or Michigan where winters are brutal. You want to stay warm, you want to feel cozy, so you pile on the comforters, turn up the heat, and wear flannel from head to toe. It feels right, but let me explain exactly what happens to your blood vessels when your body temperature rises too high during sleep. Your circulatory system is designed to maintain a very specific core temperature, around 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. When you overheat at night, your body has to work harder to cool itself down, and it does this by dilating your blood vessels, especially the superficial ones near your skin. This dilation causes blood to pool in your extremities instead of flowing efficiently back to your heart. At the same time, overheating makes you sweat, even if you don't notice it, and this sweating dehydrates you throughout the night. Dehydration makes your blood thicker, more viscous, harder to pump. Combine thick blood with dilated, sluggish veins, and you have a recipe for poor circulation that compounds hour after hour while you sleep. But it gets worse. When your bedroom is too warm, above 70 degrees Fahrenheit, your body can't enter the deeper stages of sleep properly. Your heart rate stays elevated, your blood pressure doesn't drop the way it should during rest, and your vascular system never gets the recovery period it desperately needs. This is especially dangerous for people over 60 whose blood vessels are already less elastic and whose hearts are already working harder than they did 20 years ago. I had a patient named Robert, 68 years old, who came to me complaining about severe leg cramps that woke him up every single night around 3 or 4 in the morning. He described them as excruciating, like his calf muscles were twisting into knots. When I asked about his sleeping environment, he told me he kept his bedroom at 74 degrees and slept under 2 heavy quilts because, quote, "I hate being cold. I've always been a cold sleeper," end quote. I asked him to try an experiment for 1 week. Lower his bedroom temperature to 65 degrees, use 1 light blanket, and wear lighter pajamas. Within 4 nights, his cramps disappeared completely. His circulation improved because his body could finally regulate its temperature properly. His blood could flow without fighting against heat-induced dilation, and his vessels could recover during sleep instead of being stressed all night long. You could fix the overheating problem tonight, but if you're making this next mistake, you're still putting your circulation at serious risk. The third mistake is about timing, specifically the timing of what you eat and drink before bed. This one surprises people because it seems completely unrelated to circulation, but the connection is direct and dangerous. Here's the pattern I see constantly. People finish dinner around 6 or 7 in the evening, then around 9 or 10, right before bed, they have a snack. Maybe some crackers and cheese, maybe a bowl of ice cream, maybe a handful of cookies. It seems harmless, even comforting. A little bedtime snack has been part of American culture for generations. But let me explain exactly what happens inside your body when you eat, especially carbohydrates and sugars, within 2 hours of going to sleep. When you eat, your blood sugar rises. Your pancreas releases insulin to process that sugar. Your digestive system kicks into high gear, pulling blood flow towards your stomach and intestines and away from your extremities. This is normal during the day when you're active and your muscles are helping pump blood around your body. But at night, when you're about to lie down for 8 hours, this digestive blood flow creates a problem. Your legs, which already struggle with circulation after age 60, get even less blood flow because your body is prioritizing digestion. Meanwhile, the spike in blood sugar makes your blood slightly thicker and stickier, increasing the risk of clots forming in slow-moving veins. But it gets even more dangerous if that bedtime snack is salty. Sodium causes your body to retain water, and that retained water pools in your legs when you're lying flat. This is why so many people wake up with swollen ankles and puffy feet after eating salty snacks before bed. That swelling isn't just uncomfortable, it's a sign that your circulatory system is overwhelmed, struggling to move fluid back up against gravity while you sleep. I treated a woman named Patricia, 71 years old, who had chronic venous insufficiency and couldn't understand why her legs were getting progressively worse, despite following all my other recommendations. When I asked her to keep a food diary for 2 weeks, the pattern became crystal clear. Every single night around 9:30, she ate a small bowl of pretzels while watching television. Those pretzels, loaded with sodium, were causing massive fluid retention overnight. Her legs were holding an extra 2 to 3 pounds of fluid every single morning, putting enormous pressure on her already weakened veins. When she stopped the nighttime pretzels and moved her last food intake to at least 3 hours before bed, her morning swelling decreased by 70% within 10 days. Even the healthiest habits won't save you from the fourth mistake, and this one is causing damage you can actually feel but probably don't understand. I'm talking about sleeping in positions that restrict blood flow, particularly sleeping on your side with your knees pulled up toward your chest, or sleeping with one leg crossed over the other, or sleeping with your arms tucked under your pillow in ways that compress major blood vessels. Let me explain the mechanics. Your body has several critical pressure points where major arteries and veins run close to the surface, protected by very little muscle or fat. Behind your knees, in your groin area, under your arms, along the inside of your thighs. When you sleep in positions that put sustained pressure on these points, you're literally crimping your blood vessels like bending a garden hose. The blood flow slows down, sometimes almost stops completely in certain areas, and this creates pockets of stagnant blood that are prime locations for clots to form. The most dangerous position is what I call the fetal curl, where you sleep on your side with your knees bent sharply and pulled up high. This position compresses the popliteal vein, which is the major vein running behind your knee. When that vein is compressed for hours, blood backs up in your calf, pools in the smaller vessels, and your circulation becomes dangerously sluggish. People who sleep this way often wake up with numb feet, tingling legs, or a sensation like pins and needles. They think it's just because they slept funny, but what they're actually feeling is the result of hours of restricted blood flow. Another common problem is sleeping with your legs crossed. Maybe you start the night with your legs straight, but somewhere around 2 or 3 in the morning, you unconsciously cross one ankle over the other or fold one leg over the other knee. This crossing puts direct pressure on the superficial veins and arteries in your legs, and it only takes 30 to 45 minutes of sustained pressure to cause noticeable circulation problems. The worst part is you're completely unaware it's happening because you're asleep. I had a patient named Thomas, 65 years old, a retired contractor who kept waking up around 4 in the morning with his right foot completely numb and ice cold. He described it as feeling dead, like it wasn't even part of his body. He'd have to sit on the edge of the bed and massage his foot for 10 to 15 minutes before sensation returned. This happened 3 to 4 times per week, and he was terrified he was having mini strokes. When we did a sleep study, we discovered he was sleeping on his left side with his right leg crossed over his left, putting sustained pressure on the femoral artery in his right groin area. Once he learned to sleep on his back with a pillow between his knees to prevent crossing, the numbness stopped completely within 1 week. But the final mistake is what truly destroys circulation long term, and it's not about what you do during sleep, it's about what you ignore when you wake up. The fifth and most devastating mistake is dismissing the warning signs your body gives you every single morning and assuming that discomfort, stiffness, and poor circulation symptoms are just normal parts of aging. Here's what I mean. You wake up and your legs feel heavy, stiff, hard to move. You tell yourself, well, I'm 67, of course my legs are stiff in the morning, that's just getting older. You have to sit on the edge of the bed for a few minutes before you can stand up without feeling dizzy. You notice your feet are puffy, your ankles are swollen, maybe you can see the indent marks from your socks still pressed into your skin hours after you took them off the night before, and you think, it's just water retention, it happens to everyone my age, it's not a big deal. But these symptoms are not normal. They are warning signs that your circulation is failing, that your heart is struggling to pump blood efficiently, that your veins are not doing their job, that damage is accumulating night after night. And when you ignore these warnings, when you normalize them as just part of aging, you give the problem permission to get worse. You delay intervention. You miss the window where simple changes could reverse the damage, and you slide closer to the point where you need medical intervention, compression stockings, medications, or even surgical procedures. Let me explain exactly why this psychological mistake is so dangerous. Your circulatory system has an incredible ability to compensate and adapt, especially in the early stages of decline. If you catch problems early, make adjustments, give your vessels the support they need, they can recover, strengthen, improve. But if you ignore symptoms for months or years, if you let poor circulation become your new normal, your vessels lose that adaptive capacity. Valves that could have been saved start to fail permanently. Veins that could have been strengthened become permanently stretched and incompetent. Clots that could have been prevented start forming in stagnant blood pools. I treated a man named William, 72 years old, who came to me only after his wife insisted he see someone about his legs. For 3 years, 3 full years, William had been waking up with swollen, discolored legs. His feet were cold all day long. He had chronic numbness in his toes, and he struggled to walk more than 2 blocks without his calves cramping up. When I asked him why he waited so long, he said, quote, "I thought it was just my age catching up with me. I didn't think anything could be done about it. I didn't want to be a complainer." End quote. By the time he came to me, his venous insufficiency was so advanced that we had to do an aggressive treatment plan, including compression therapy, medication, and lifestyle changes. And while we improved his symptoms significantly, we couldn't reverse all the damage. If he had come to me 2 years earlier, when the symptoms first started, we could have prevented most of the decline with simple interventions. Here's the good news, and pay close attention because this is important. None of these 5 mistakes requires surgery, expensive medication, or a radical change in your life. All of them can be corrected with simple adjustments you can start tonight. I've helped thousands of patients reverse these problems without ever setting foot in an operating room. What you need is knowledge and commitment, and you're already halfway there just by listening to this. First action. Fix your sleeping position and use elevation strategically. Starting tonight, elevate the foot of your bed by 4 to 6 inches. You can do this by placing sturdy blocks or books under the bed frame legs at the foot end, or by using a foam wedge under your mattress. This slight elevation, just 4 to 6 inches, uses gravity to help blood flow from your legs back to your heart while you sleep. It's gentle enough that you won't feel like you're sliding down the bed, but significant enough to make a real difference in circulation. If you sleep on your side, place a pillow between your knees. This keeps your legs slightly separated, prevents crossing, and reduces pressure on the major blood vessels in your hips and groin. If you sleep on your back, place a pillow under your knees to maintain a slight bend, which reduces pressure on the popliteal vein and keeps blood flowing smoothly. Within 1 week, most of my patients report that morning stiffness decreases, feet feel warmer when they wake up, and that heavy leg sensation starts to fade. This works because you're giving your circulatory system 8 hours of assistance instead of 8 hours of working against gravity. Second action, optimize your sleep environment temperature and bedding. Keep your bedroom between 64 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. I know this feels cold at first, especially if you're used to sleeping in a warm room, but this temperature range is ideal for circulation and deep sleep. Your body needs to cool down slightly to enter restorative sleep stages, and keeping the room cool prevents the vascular dilation and dehydration that destroy circulation. Use one light blanket instead of heavy comforters. If you need extra warmth, wear light cotton or bamboo pajamas that breathe and wick moisture, but avoid heavy flannel or synthetic materials that trap heat. Keep a glass of water on your nightstand and take a few sips if you wake up during the night, because even mild dehydration makes your blood thicker and harder to circulate. Within 4 to 5 nights, your body will adapt to the cooler temperature and you'll notice better sleep quality, fewer night cramps, and less morning swelling. This happens because your vascular system can finally regulate properly without fighting constant heat stress. Third action, establish a 3-hour eating cutoff before bed. Make your last meal or snack at least 3 full hours before you plan to go to sleep. This gives your digestive system time to process food, your blood sugar time to stabilize, and your circulatory system time to shift from digestive mode back to balanced circulation throughout your whole body. If you absolutely need something before bed, limit it to a small handful of unsalted nuts, about 10 to 15 almonds or walnuts, or half a banana. These foods provide a little sustenance without spiking blood sugar or causing sodium retention. Avoid anything salty, anything sugary, anything processed within that 3-hour window. Track your morning ankle swelling for 2 weeks. Measure around your ankle with a soft measuring tape right when you wake up before you get out of bed. Most people see a reduction of 1/4 to 1/2 inch in swelling within 10 to 14 days of following the 3-hour rule because they're eliminating the overnight fluid retention caused by late eating. Fourth action, train yourself to sleep in circulation-friendly positions. This takes practice and awareness, but it's achievable. Before you fall asleep, consciously position yourself on your back with your arms at your sides, or on your side with a pillow between your knees and your bottom leg slightly straighter than your top leg. Avoid pulling your knees up toward your chest. Avoid crossing your legs. Avoid tucking your arms under your head or pillow. If you wake up in the middle of the night and notice you've shifted into a restrictive position, gently reposition yourself. Over time, usually 2 to 3 weeks, your body will start to naturally maintain better positions even while you're unconscious. You can also use a body pillow as a physical barrier to prevent yourself from curling up too tightly or crossing your legs. Pay attention to morning symptoms as feedback. If you wake up with numbness, tingling, or that pins and needles sensation, it means you slept in a position that restricted blood flow. Make a mental note of what position you think you were in and actively avoid it the next night. Fifth action, monitor and respond to warning signs instead of dismissing them. Every morning, do a 60-second circulation check before you get out of bed. Look at your feet and ankles, check for swelling, press your thumb gently into the top of your foot and see if it leaves an indent that takes more than 2 seconds to disappear. Notice how your legs feel. Are they heavy, stiff, cold, numb, or do they feel relatively normal and ready to move? Keep a simple tracking journal, just a notebook by your bed where you write 1 or 2 words describing how your legs feel each morning. Good, stiff, swollen, normal, heavy. This gives you objective data over time instead of relying on memory or assumptions. If you notice symptoms getting worse over 3 consecutive days, or if you develop sudden severe swelling, pain, warmth, or redness in one leg, see a doctor immediately. Don't wait. Don't assume it will get better on its own. These could be signs of a blood clot, and blood clots are medical emergencies that require immediate treatment. 7-day protocol to improve nighttime circulation starting tonight. Night 1. Elevate your bed, lower your room temperature, no food after 7 in the evening if you sleep at 10. Position yourself carefully before falling asleep. Do your morning check when you wake up and write down how your legs feel. Nights 2 and 3, maintain bed elevation and temperature, continue the 3-hour food cutoff, practice position awareness if you wake during the night. Notice if morning stiffness is improving even slightly. Nights 4 and 5. By now the bed elevation and temperature changes should feel more natural. Focus on position training. Use a body pillow if you keep curling up or crossing your legs. Check your morning ankle measurements. Nights 6 and 7. Evaluate overall progress. Compare how your legs feel now versus 1 week ago. If you see improvement, continue the protocol and make it permanent. If you see no change or symptoms are worse, schedule a doctor's appointment within the next week for a full vascular evaluation. Keep this journal for at least 4 weeks. You'll start to see patterns, you'll notice which changes make the biggest difference for your specific body, and you'll have concrete evidence to show your doctor if you need medical intervention. Which of these 5 mistakes did you recognize you're making right now? Be honest with yourself. No judgment here, just awareness. Maybe you're sleeping completely flat every night. Maybe your bedroom is too warm. Maybe you're eating snacks at 9:30 in the evening. Maybe you wake up with numb feet and tell yourself it's normal. Awareness is the first step. You did the best with the information you had, but now you know. And now you have the responsibility to act. Knowledge without action is just entertainment. You can watch this video, nod your head, agree with everything I said, and then do nothing differently tonight. Or you can take action, make changes, give your circulation the support it desperately needs. Don't leave it for tomorrow. Today, before you go to bed tonight, you can do 3 things. Elevate your bed, lower your thermostat, and make your last meal 3 hours before sleep. These 3 changes alone will start improving your circulation tonight while you sleep without any effort beyond the initial setup. Share this with someone you love, your spouse who snores and wakes up with swollen legs, your sibling who complains about cold feet, your friend who dismisses every symptom as just getting old. You might save someone from a problem that hasn't even started yet, or catch a problem early enough to reverse it completely. I'm Dr. Ethan Scott, vascular surgeon, and my mission is to provide information that saves lives and preserves independence. Your legs carry you through life. They deserve your attention and care. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.